All right, moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from Lamanta Benson, who asked me to do a Absolute Universe version of Sailor Moon. So we got Absolute Sailor Moon. So, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the third tier in the link in the description below, and go over to my Patreon. Hit the third tier. That'll allow you access to do so, as well as check out all the other stuff on the other tiers as well. But other than that, let's get started. So yeah, with the Absolute DC universe going full speed, I kind of figured something like this was going to happen. So I don't know how good I am at going to do this this Absolute universe, and I'm not going to do like a whole story, because even right now, as of this recording, we're barely into issue 3 of Absolute Batman. So I don't know where the story. There's an actual story, and they have said it's going to like interconnect with the other DC universe. But for right now, like, it's separate. Like, it's its own thing right now. Again, like the Ultimate Universe. Anyway, so let's get started with my pitch for how an Absolute Sailor Moon book would go. So here we go. So the first things first. In this, for those wondering who still don't have an understanding of what the Absolute DC line is and how it correlates to this, is that in here, I mean, like in the Absolute universe, it's basically Darkseid created a new Earth that doesn't really have hope, and all the characters are much different. Like it's like DC's Ultimate Universe. So like we have Superman, who doesn't have parents or a fortress or anything like that. You have Batman, who's not a billionaire, and he's ripped to fuck. He's just Bat Brick now. And you also have Diana, she was raised in the underworld. So we're going to apply. Now, this isn't going to be like, oh, it's the Sailor Moon characters in the Absolute Universe. No, we're taking the idea of the Absolute Universe and applying it here. So for this continuity, basically what it is, this universe, essentially what happened in this continuity is that there was a war between mankind and the Moon Kingdom, like way back when, as stated. But here, it wasn't over love. It was basically, the Moon Kingdom had essentially, it was basically a fledgling empire. They had Serenity and all of them had aspirations to, like, bring the Enlightenment to the cosmos. And they essentially brought the other planets in line. There were other races, of course. The other sailors were other sailor guardians were representatives of these planets, as well as warriors. And the whole plan was to move out from the Sol system and begin a intergalactic planet. The problem was mankind rose up, Earth rose up against Queen Serenity, and the war between this civil war broke out. And who was leading that civil war? Queen Beryl, who in here, she wasn't some lovelorn kind of character. No, she was actually like, in here, Beryl in this continuity it's kind of like Megatron, where the Moon Kingdom's class system really came down on her for being just twisted and mutated. So in here, Beryl became like a Megatron type character, where she caused a civil war. She wanted to launch a rebellion to help these people who have been downtrodden. In here, Beryl is half in this universe. Beryl's half human, and that was the thing that really put her as a second-class citizen. So she led the humans in a war that essentially devastated the Moon Kingdom. In doing so, there was a ceasefire. There was eventually a ceasefire between the two, and from there, that's when we get Endymion and Princess Serenity as lovers. However, that kind of fell apart, because what happens next is that Endymion, in the name of his kingdom, he's the one who killed Serenity originally, and that led to the reincarnation cycle of everything else. So, yeah. So yeah, they aren't fated lovers. They're enemies to lovers in this universe. And so yeah. So let's start off with where the characters are in this Absolute universe. starting off, let's begin with Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon in this universe, she's already aware. Like, she already is Sailor Moon. Like, Usagi is already Sailor Moon, and she doesn't want this power. She's burdened by the fact that she's the reincarnation of what is essentially a tyrant. And while she's still fighting Barrel's monsters, who in here are like, they're so dead set on, ending the war and starting a new era for mankind. Because Barrel's gone, like, Barrel, much like Megatron, is like, might makes right, and humanity had its chance. Barrel's like, I wanted to give humanity the more than enough opportunity to govern itself, but all I have seen is bullshit. So I'm gonna have to step in now. And, Sailor Moon is, Luna's there. She's already been Sailor Moon for a few months, but she's like, I don't want this power. She isn't like a klutz. She isn't an airheaded klutz. She isn't whiny. She's just like, I don't want to do this. I am the reincarnated princess of a genocidal monster. I don't want to do this, and I'm tired. And not to mention the other Sailor Guardians, they aren't exactly united either at this point. Where you have Mercury, Amy, she's into science, but it's more like trying to like science her way out of using and manipulating science to unlock further abilities. It's more like she almost has like a Shockwave personality, where it's more like she's more about logic than anything else, and ends just if logic dictates that, hey, if I can do this, but it sacrifices something, then that's okay. Then you have Sailor Mars. Ray in this continuity lost her grandfather to a disease and tried to pray. She has no faith. In this universe, in the absolute universe, she has absolutely no faith whatsoever in anything, because she tried to pray for her grandfather to get better, for her dad to come back and be a father, but no one answered. So now she's just kind of faithless, and also, doesn't like the idea of following someone who claims to be a god, i.e. Serenity. Then you have Sailor Mercury. You have Mika. Venus. Well, actually, yeah. Let's talk about. Sorry, I meant Venus. Yeah, I didn't mean Mercury. I meant Venus. Sailor Venus is kind of like she walked out of The Boys. She is all up for being a superhero. She has a reality show. She's kind of like, it's almost like something out of The Boys, where she's more social media superhero than anything else. Then you have Sailor Jupiter, she basically is kind of like a Raphael type character, where she's using her abilities, and she's like, yeah, we were meant to be something more. We were meant to be better, and by God, I think we can be better than what we are. She's got more heart to her, but she's also more of a vigilante, and she also is like, I will hit you and you will not get back up. Like, the only place you're going is a tin box. So she's more like Night Watcher Raphael. And then we have actually, yeah, that's kind of, I don't really want to talk about the outer scouts, but yeah, that is the main I wanted to touch on the main core of how I would do this universe. So all the characters, they're all like separated, and that's, again, it's supposed to be bringing hope to a hopeless universe. So the whole thing would be about how the Sailor Guardians would try to like come back together and reforge these bonds when they don't have these bonds to begin with. And you may be wondering, well, where's Tuxedo Mask? Like, where does Tuxedo Mask play in all this? Glad you asked. So Mamoru in here was actually, he lost his parents at an early age. Like, he lost his parents and was raised by Queen Beryl. And in here, her whole thing is that he's the leader of the Diamond Generals. And they've trained him from birth. But in here, Beryl has a better idea of, like, trying to get at, Usagi. Because, yeah, she told him everything. Like, she told him, like, hey, you're the reincarnation of this guy, and there's a whole war. And she's basically brainwashed him this whole time to be her perfect soldier by being like an internal spy and fighting and pretending to be an ally to Usagi. But throughout the story, it'd be like, yeah, we're going from enemies to lovers. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much kind of a loose idea I would do with an absolute Sailor Moon idea. I don't think I'd want to do a lot of these videos. No, I do not want to do like a lot of these. Maybe, yeah, I don't want to make this a thing. Anyway, but you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think, and how would you do a absolute Sailor Moon universe? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.